Those t-shirts are quite literally hot off the press this morning, and this is what they look like right here. This is the Cubs World Series victory t-shirts being printed right here. There's a family of 5 who lives in this home that is still unaccounted for right now this morning. You can see all of the equipment and gear that firefighters wear, and they actually suited me up this morning. I'm wearing about 30 pounds of gear. 12-year-old Justin Johnson was crossing this intersection here at Crooks Avenue and 2nd Street when a bus turned the corner and hit him. It's an 80% scale replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. It's 360 feet long and 8 feet tall at its highest point. Hey guys, like my new car? Just kidding, but the owner was so kind to let me sit in it this morning. This is a 1970 Plymouth Superbird, just one of the many classic cars that you can see on display here tonight for License to Cruise. Now that is happening around 6 o'clock tonight. There are no evacuations. There's a couple of businesses around here, 2 gas stations, and so far nothing has been evacuated. That crash happened off of DeLangley, just south of 41. Take a look and you can see the truck, the UPS truck here behind me. Lucky for you, I have a good friend named Greg Smrava who owns this place, and he just gave me a strawberry punchki so that you can try your first punchki ever on the air for us and tell us how it tastes. Did you get some of that filling?
That's really good.
That's right. There are still some police here this morning as well. You can see behind me there is a police squad car here with lights on blocking this street. And if you take a look further down the street, you can see there is another squad car with police tape up. And there has been a decent amount of activity here this morning as well. We've seen some other police cars come in and out of this area. Now, we do know that one of the 4 people shot and killed was a police officer with the D.C. Everest Metropolitan Police Department, but we don't know where in this incident he was killed. Police say this started as a domestic incident, and police aren't saying much about the shooter, his motives, or his victims, but we do expect to learn more today during a press conference. Yesterday afternoon, officers were called to a bank in Rothschild just before 1 o'clock in the afternoon, then to a law office in Schofield soon after, and finally to this apartment building in Weston. There were reports of shots being fired at all 3 of those locations. A standoff at the apartment building between the suspect and police then lasted for several hours before the suspect was taken into custody. During that time, Everest area schools were placed on lockdown as a precaution, and streets around the shooting locations were closed off. They have since been reopened, but some families in the area were displaced and are now being helped by the Red Cross. When speaking to the media, law officials were visibly upset, saying they're not the only ones affected by this tragedy.
And I would like to basically send all my thoughts and ask everybody listening, thoughts and prayers to all the victims and their families. Keep them in your prayers and be with our officers.
These events affect more than just the people involved. They really affect entire communities. And with that, and because of that, there's more than 100 law enforcement officers in the field right now from all the agencies the chief mentioned, working hard on several different crime scenes.
The Wisconsin Department of Criminal Investigation is now handling this, and as we said, we do expect to learn more about this today during a press conference, but so far a time for that has not been released. We will be there, though, and be bringing you the latest developments as soon as they unfold. Reporting live in Weston, Kristen Allen, Action 2 News. Berkeley Road is now back open this morning. You can see an unmarked car from the Brown County Sheriff's Office watching over the home here behind me that Nicole Vanderheiden and Douglas Dietrich shared. Investigators arrived back here to this neighborhood around 5:30 last night. There was a report of blood found in front of another home nearby. Now that happened at just about the same time that investigators positively identified the victim as Nicole Vanderheiden. Investigators moved quickly, gathering evidence and interviewing neighbors. Dietrich was arrested at his parents' house. He initially did make some statements to investigators before requesting a lawyer. The scene around his home was active overnight as police searched yards for more clues and made sure neighbors were aware of what was happening.
We obviously are doing neighborhood canvassing. We want to see if anybody saw anything during this time process. So we have to talk to everybody. You try and get as much information as early as possible after you discover that a homicide had occurred. This is not out of the norm to bring as many people.
Investigators say the murder likely happened early Saturday morning. Vanderheiden's body was found just hours later. Police haven't said how she was killed or why. They say they believe this was an isolated incident between the couple, but officers are looking into whether or not Dietrich had any help. Vanderheiden was a mother of 3. She and Dietrich had 1 child together. No court date has been set, but we'll be following this story and bring you the latest developments. Reporting live in Ledgeview, Kristen Allen, Action 2 News. The incident ended here in the 300 block of North Ashland Avenue when that car that was speeding crashed into this house here behind me. Take a look and you can see just the hole in the front porch here. Parts of the fence were torn down and there's just other various debris in the front yard here. But this all started in Ashwaubenon. Green Bay police say that Ashwaubenon Public Safety was trying to stop a car in the village that was traveling at a very high rate of speed. Then, for reasons unclear, stopped pursuing the car at Ashland Avenue and Mason Street. Now, right at that time, a Green Bay police officer happened to be pulling out on Dousman Street and saw that car going very fast. The officer wasn't aware even that the Ashwaubenon public safety officer had previously tried to stop the car.
Observed the vehicle get hit, run a flashing red, get hit by another car. The vehicle lost control, hit a tree, and then hit the front porch of a house here on Ashland.
The driver of the car that crashed ran off. Green Bay police used a canine unit to try to track him, but were unsuccessful. They are still trying to find him, but based on vehicle registration, police believe they know who it is and that he may even live in this area. Police say when they do find him, he will be charged with using unreasonable speed, hit and run with injury, and failure to stop at a controlled intersection. The driver of the other car was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. Reporting live in Green Bay, Kristen Allen, Action 2 News. The fire happened at this house here behind me. We're being kept back a distance. This block here is surrounded by police tape. The 4 children who were home at the time of the fire were ages 11 and under. The Sheboygan Falls Fire Department confirms that one of those children has died. 2 others were flown to Children's Hospital in Milwaukee. Another did manage to escape the fire safely. The parents were not home at the time of the fire. Last night, as firefighters rushed in, there was smoke coming from the home. They were rushing in trying to find the children to save them. All 3 were taken to Sheboygan Hospital in very critical condition. The 2 were later flown to Children's Hospital in Milwaukee. So far, no further updates have been given on their condition.
We have a number of departments that responded to this scene for assistance. A very good coordinated effort between all the departments and the firefighters in removing and locating the children, removing them very quickly.
A press conference is scheduled for 8:30 this morning where we are expected to learn more. We'll be following this story throughout the day. Reporting live in Sheboygan Falls, Kristen Allen, Action 2 News.